Hey everybody, so time to do our top 9 for the month of December. Now you might be thinking it's a little bit late in the month of January. We're past the 15th already. Actually, for me, it's the 17th. And you might be thinking, well, with doing the top 100 on my YouTube channel and the top 50 on my podcast, maybe I just forgot about it. And you'd be right. I forgot all about the top 9 for the month of December until, well, today. So here we go. Now, before we get into the top 9, let's have a look at the stats. So December was a good month for me. I played 91 times, 54 different games. And that was, what is it? Oh, it's not on there. The percentage of my own collection. But, oh well. So, yeah, great month. So in the number 9 position, I have Arch Ravels. So Arch Ravel is growing on me. Like I bought it because I love the theme. I liked crochet, and I tend to do that mostly at Christmas time. So maybe that's why I've pulled this game out a bit more. But this game is just adorable. And you have all these little wooden yarn that you'll be collecting. And you start one of each color, then you kind of go and draw more based on the cards that come out. So each card will have a different combination of yarn that you can utilize. And then some will be like, hey, you get these 3 colors. Or it's like, oh, you get 2 purple ones. Or you get, so it'll just give you different options of what yarn you can collect. And then with the yarn, you're going to be making these projects. And then you can make a scarf, or you can make a toque, and you can make a teddy bear. So there's different projects that you can make. And then with those projects, you could turn them in to fulfill orders. And the orders will be like, well, I need a blanket and 3 teddy bears. Okay, so you're trying to get these done. And then if you do and fulfill the order, then they're worth more points as having fulfilled an order than they are individually. So super cool. Now what's really neat too is like you have your player board, and then there's the 4 different actions. And on your turn, you're going to go from the action you're on to the next one. So you can't do the same action twice. The one is go to the market and buy 3 things of yarn, depending on the card, how many that's going to be. Or craft so many project, or craft a project and buy 1 yarn. Or I think it's kind of exchange yarn. But you can't do the same action twice in a row. You have to constantly move your token to the next action. So neat. It's a lot of fun. And as I mentioned, the components are just adorable. And then the tray, like it comes with a neat tray, and now everything goes back in the box. Now it still shifts on me a little bit, but it looks great. Then in number 8 position, I finally bought a copy. I played this one for the first time at FallCon, and it was great. This is one that comes up every time somebody talks about their favorite race game. Downforce comes up. So I was like, is it really that good? I was a big Formula D fan and played Downforce, and yeah, it really is that good. And it's just a really fun game. So ended up purchasing my own copy secondhand, and then I played it with the family, and it was a hit. So we played the full, all 6 of us, and then, bidding on the cars, and then racing, and then blocking each other, and it was great. And then the way that it works is you'll have your cards handed to you, and you kind of look at them and then decide based on those cards which car you think you want to try to bid on. And the cards will have like different colors on there with a number associated with it. So from the top, if it's like, well, that one here, so it's a red 6. So then the red card would move 6 space. Then the next one, green would move by 5, and black would move by 4, and so on. So these cards indicate the movement that the race cars are going to get. Now, if a race car ever gets stuck and they can't move forward because there's cars in the way, then those movement are just wasted. It's really neat. So you're playing racing. Well, first you bid on your car, then you're playing and racing. Every time you pass a yellow line on the racetrack, you bid on which car you think will be correct. Now, if you're correct on the overall winner at the beginning, like on the first bid, that's going to be worth more because it could be anybody's race really at that time. If you're correct the second time and the third time, you're still going to collect money, but it's going to be a little bit less. If you're incorrect, I think it's just 0. And then you kind of keep going with your race. Now, if your own race car that you bid on and own wins the race, you get the prize money, but you also then get as well on the card you bid on. So you could the whole race win, not having won with your own car, but winning by having bid on all the appropriate or like the winning car all along the way. It's neat. I really enjoy this one. Then in number 7 position is another racing game, Camel Up. And actually Camel Up kind of reminds me of Downforce quite a bit, mainly because you're bidding on the race. Nobody actually in this one owns the camel, but you're bidding on which camel you think is going to win the race. You'll be bidding on each round as well as the overall race. So and the components, like you open this board and you have this 3D pop-up oasis that opens first of all, and then you have this plastic pyramid that you shake, and then push the button and the dice comes out, and then that's the camel that's going to be racing. And what's neat is the camel will stack on top of each other. So right now you see we have all these camels on top, the green and the red and the blue and the yellow. So if for any reason the blue moved, then the red and the green that are on top would move along with it, even though that wasn't the one that was rolled. So kind of like it keeps it interesting as to which camel would win. And then you have the black and the white camel that's going the opposite direction. So if your camel lands on them and then they get rolled, well, then they're going to drag your camel backwards in the race. It's so neat. It's a really fun, great component. It looks amazing on the table. And this is another one that can play a nice big group of people without it being like a party game. It'll play up to 8, so that's neat. Then in number 6 position, I have Furnace. I really like Furnace. This is a bidding game. It's another bidding game. I've got a lot of bidding games this month, but this one is really neat because it's a very simple game to learn and play. So it's simple. You have some very interesting decisions you need to make and then try to do, but it plays quick. 25 minutes or so. This one is done. You know what? I'm not sure that I've saved this properly on there. Is it 2020? Maybe it's 2020, but it plays quick anyways. So the way that it works is you have the cards in the middle. And you have your bidding tokens from 1 to 4, 4 being the biggest one, 1 being the smallest one. And you're going to put your bidding token on the cards that you can bid on. Now, you cannot put your token where a color of your own token already is. So you can't bid on the same card that you've already bid on. And you can't put like a number 3 if a number 3 is already on that card either. So you have to change the numbers around. Then on your turn, you'll go ahead, put your token. Once everybody's bid, you're going to look at each card. And whoever has the highest numbered token on there wins that card. They're going to take the card and add it to their engine because this is an engine building game. Whoever has a token on there that is not the highest, they get to take the number on that token. So if it was a 3, and take the resource that's at the top of the card, multiply by their token. So if they had a 3 and then there was like 1, iron, then you would actually collect 3 of them and so on. So sometimes you'll put token on there hoping you get the resources, and you want to put a fairly big one so that you can get a lot of it. But if nobody outbids you, then you get the card. You don't get the resources. So it's interesting trying to collect the resources that way and trying to collect the cards that you want. And then once you get the card in your engine, you will take the resources and they'll kind of allow you to trade. So you could be like, okay, well, I'm going to take this iron and I'm trading it so that it becomes a drum, an oil drum. And then, so you're doing all these different things. And then you can eventually also trade so that it becomes money. Now, money is completely useless in this game. You don't purchase anything, but money is your victory point. So you want to do the trades to get as much money as you can at the end. So neat. Plus, it plays quick, but then when you play and you're doing all the trades of your engine, everybody can do that at the same time. So it's a really fast game to play and entertaining and neat and kind of thinky. So really like this one. That was Furnace, my number 6. In number 5 position, I have 7 Wonders Architects. I played this one for the first time at Gobfest, which is coming up again. They've opened their ticket now if you want to go to Gobfest in Edmonton. But I played that at the first time at Gobfest, and I was so impressed with how neat the game was and how quick it was to play. And the way that it works is you have your wonder. There's 7 wonders to pick from. So you have your wonder, and there are tiles that you put together in the shape of your wonder. But at first, they're all on their construction side. And then you have your cards that are between you and the player to your left. I think it's left. And then the person to your right has their cards between the two of you, and so on. And then there's another deck of cards that's face down in the middle. These two deck of cards are face up, so you can see what the options are. This one is face down. Now, on your turn, you get to pick a card, either from your right, your left, or in the middle. In the middle, you don't see unless you've collected the cat. If you have the cat, you can have a peek and then decide. So you kind of have some of the information. You can pick a card that's going to give you a resource. When you have the necessary amount of resource, you can build part of your wonder. Now it'll be like, okay, well, you need to have 2 different resources, or 2 of the same, or 3 different one and 3 of the same. It gets harder as you go up, because you got to build it from the bottom up. So as you go up, it gets a little bit harder. You can get the science. When you get 3 different science, you take a science token that's going to either give you a special ability or a special scoring at the end of the game. And so 3 different science, or 2 of the same one, allows you to collect a science token. And then you also have the blue cards that are just victory points, but some of those will have the cat icon on there, and that means you get to take ownership of the cat, and while you have the cat in your possession, you get to peek at the card in the middle as well. And then you'll have the army card. Now, the army card will give you army strength, but if there is a trumpet or horn on it, then you would flip the peace token onto the war side. If those peace tokens are ever all flipped over, then you go to war, and you kind of calculate who has the most force between you and the people on either side of you, and you would get victory points for if you're winning. Then when that happened, any card that you have that has the horn symbol on it gets discarded. You just keep the other ones. So simple, super fun. I quite like this one, and it's quick. And so every time I've played it, be like, okay, again. And then you kind of change, maybe try a different, because they all have different abilities as well. So when you flip part of your wonder, sometimes it'll be like, hey, you have this ability you can activate now. It's like, okay, I'll get to do this, and it's neat. Number 4 position, I have Shadows Amsterdam. I purchased this one knowing absolutely nothing about it. I found it at a deep discount, and I was like, well, it's worth a try. And I was impressed. This is such a neat game. It's Mysterium meets Codename almost. So the way that it works is you have the map on the table, and each location of the map is a picture. And there's 2 teams. And basically the story is we're both private detectives, and we've been hired to solve a crime that the police just can't seem to put together. And first one to collect the 3 clues and take those clues to our client wins the game. But you need to avoid the police, because they don't want you to be interfering, even though they're not really solving the crime themselves. It's very neat. So each clue giver gets a map of where everything is. Some clues are specific to one team. Some clues, it's whoever gets there first gets that particular clue. So you have the map that kind of shows how it works. Everybody starts in the middle. And then you can have these bigger tiles that have more art on it, and you would kind of, okay, I'm giving you this one as a clue as to where I want you to go. And then you would look at the picture on this card and try to figure out which location based on the picture that you're supposed to go to. Now, at first, there's 3 options. So I would give them a card. There's 3 options they're going to look. So maybe there's a kitchen with an oven over there. So I give them a picture of a cake. You baked a cake in the oven. That's no brainer. But the cake is red, and over there's red balloons that they're probably trying to send us there because there's so much red, and this is a picture of a red cake, and it's like, no, don't go there, but you can't say anything. It's neat. So then you kind of go to the new location. If it's where you want it to go, great. Then you keep trying to send them to the clues. And when you collect the clues, you put that up. If you ever come across a police officer more than 3 times, then you forfeit the game. You lose just because you've been stopped. It's fun. It's neat. I was so impressed with this game. I can't wait to play it some more. It was great. Then in my number 3 position for the month of December is in the Hall of the Mountain King. I had a game weekend. No, that's not true. I had a game day, a full game day, morning to evening, with some girlfriends of mine. And we ended up playing this one, and it's so good. I've played it when it first came out. My friend had backed it on Kickstarter and brought it over, and I'd played it then. And I remembered I enjoyed it, but I didn't remember the details, so I got to play it again, and I enjoy it. It's great. So you have your card, and you have these different tiles that you can build on the map, and you kind of start at the end and you kind of add to it, depending on what you cover, what you get, and then depending on the size of the map or the tile that you put on the map and what location of the map, how much points you're going to get. And you're trying to kind of cover these platform areas so that you can put totems on it that was going to give you extra points as well. And then you have like this pyramid, these cards you're collecting that kind of creates a pyramid. And when you do, you kind of fill it in. And then you can collect and use the resources from the cards on your pyramid in order to be able to kind of keep going and digging through these tunnels. It's neat. Now this one, like all the components were super cool. Like all the pieces were in trays. I don't know if this is a deluxe version. I'm assuming it probably was because it looked amazing. But it was so neat, so great. We lost so much. It was ridiculous. But I really, really enjoyed it. And then actually with the way that we played it, we ended up playing in team. Normally you play each person for themselves, but there was a variant that allowed you to play in team, and we wanted to give that a try. So that's why I'll just blame it on my partner Ashley. She made us lose, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure it's not, because I kept getting called out when I was trying to make supper. I think at the time I kept leaving, and she ended up having to play both sides. So I'm sure this made things a little bit more complicated, but really neat game. That's why it was my number 3. Then in number 2 position, I have Thebes. Thebes is like a classic for me. I couldn't say I've owned this game for a long time. I'm fairly new to the hobby, but I've purchased this game not too long ago, but it's out of print. You can't really find it anymore. And I purchased it again, secondhand, to give to my sister as a birthday gift. And actually, it's funny because it was in Calgary. I don't live in Calgary. She does. So I called up. I was like, remember that game? You really liked it. She's like, no. I was like, it's called Thebes. Like, no, I don't know. It's like you're digging for like artifacts. Like, no, I don't remember this. You go in the bag and you kind of pull out, and it could be sand. It could be artifacts. Like, no, I don't remember this game. But she did. She played it. I remembered. She liked it. So I was like, and then you do. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I think that does sound familiar. And I was like, well, you can't buy it anymore. It's out of print, but somebody's selling it secondhand. I was going to buy it for you for your birthday. She's like, oh, okay. It's like, but you have to go pick it up. So she went and picked it up. And then she brought it to me. She's like, I still want you to wrap it. So I wrapped each pieces in this game individually. So she opened the gifts like, oh, wow, so fake surprise. And then I was like, open it, see if you remember this game. So she opened it, and everything is wrapped. I wrapped the rule book. I wrapped the board. I wrapped each bags. Oh, geez, that was funny. Anyways, so Thebes is great. It's basically Indiana Jones without the adventure portion of it. And the way that it works is you're on this map, and you'll go like through Europe to collect knowledge on the different civilization and different dig sites. And once you have enough knowledge, you'll go to those dig sites and you'll use the wheel to say, okay, well, I've got 7 knowledge. And then it'll give you like a graph. Okay, with 7 knowledge, if you stay and dig for a week, you pull nothing out of the bag. But if you stay for 2 weeks, then you get to pull 1, and so on. So the longer you stay, the more knowledge you have, the more tokens you can pull out of the bags. Now, I think there's about like 30 30 to 35 tokens in there. 16 to 17 of them is just sand. There's nothing on it. So you want to get like enough that you pull out and be like, oh, okay, great, I have all these artifacts, and then you can count the artifacts. Now, you can only go to the dig site once a year because you have to have a permit for it, and then you use up the permit to go. And then every time, like, so the longer you stay, keep the track of the time on the outside of the board. This is such an amazing game. I love it. Then in my number 1 position is Alma Mater. This one was on sale for like $17 online on, like, I think, was it Boardgame Bliss? Maybe Boardgame Bliss. I was about to buy it secondhand for $30, and a friend of mine's like, Melanie, I think it's on sale for even cheaper. And I was like, oh, so I kind of told the person, I was like, I'm sorry, I found it on sale, so I'll go that way instead. And he's like, oh yeah, of course, I completely understand. But when he bought it, it was like $60 to $70. So I was super excited to get a brand new copy and try it out. So we ended up playing it on that the girl game day that I had. And this is so cool. So first of all, components. You have these plastic books that has, like, you know, like the white in the middle and the color of the book cover on the outside. And the components are amazing. And you're basically running a university. And you're trying to have students and recruit professors and then have them do lectures. But to do lectures, you need to spend so many books. So you need to collect the books. And then you buy the books from the other players because those are the books you have access to. And the dictionaries are the yellow books, and they're a little bit harder to come by, but then they're worth more because they're more rare. And, you know, like, the whole thing was neat. This is worker placement because you're kind of sending your workers at the different location that you can do. And, you know, so kind of all university themed. It was so neat. I really, really enjoyed this one. And that was my my number 1 for the month of December. So here's a quick recap of the top 9 for the month of December. If you want to follow me, I'm on Facebook at Mel's Board Game Room. My Instagram is Mel's_boardgame_room. I also have a podcast that I do with my friend Carla called the Boardgame Specialist. And my YouTube channel is Mel's Board Game Room. So be sure to stay tuned to see which games are going to make it in the top 9 of January. Now, full disclosure, I don't think I'm going to end up playing quite as much in January as I did in December. I did have a full week off in December, so that helped. But yeah, be sure to tune in and see which one makes the top 9. Bye, everybody.